Hello guys, in this video I want to talk about tilting, smurfing, improving in general. So a lot of things that are related to Dota but not really mechanically, not really about mechanics and mentality also, I guess.
If you like this type of content, go to gamersclass.com. For just $9.99 a month, watch masterclasses with pro players, join exclusive live sessions, and get 24/7 access to coaches and other high MMR players. Get full control of your ranked games and start owning with our Supreme Dota 2 membership.
First thing would be Smurf Pick. So how do we deal with Smurfs and what do I advise to do when playing against one? Main thing that I advise to do is checking profiles when you get in game, right? If you see an account that's level 20, you see the best 3 heroes, right? Or any account, I guess. So for me, I don't know, Sven, maybe Luna, maybe Kunkka, something like that. So yeah, you might want to ban the heroes that are there, right? For example, you might get in game with me, oh, ban Sven, ban these heroes. That would be one thing that you could do. Another thing is that usually they go mid, right? So if you can't really ban the heroes, try to pick a hero that doesn't get snowballed on, right? A lot of these Smurfs aren't really that great of a players after the laning stage, in my opinion. It's just about that they win the lane so hard against a lower skill player, lower MR player, that they can just snowball from there, right? So if you end up having to play against, I don't know, Shadowfiend, it's one hero that a lot of players pick, I guess, Smurfing, or Tinker, or stuff like that, right? Snowball heroes. Just pick a hero that doesn't really die to his hero. For example, oh, Storm would be another one. So just pick a hero that doesn't really die to this type of snowballing heroes. For Shadowfiend, you might want to pick something like an Aya, right? Juggernaut, so you can just spin whenever he's trying to ult you down. Same as Store Spirit, maybe Anti-Mage, maybe Juggernaut, maybe even Ursa, something like that, because you have a rage, I mean the ultimate, so you really don't take any damage. Against Tinker, something similar, Juggernaut, Anti-Mage, Spectre, stuff like that. So try to just counter them basically, because later in the game the opponents will make mistakes, so you're able to capitalize on their mistakes. They can't really play perfectly until the end of the game, even though they might be smurfing or whatever. They'll still make mistakes for sure. Yeah, that would be my take on smurfing actually. Or another thing about it is that I've seen people complain and stuff like that, about how matchmaking is. But mathematically, it isn't really that relevant, to be honest. Yeah, you have 4 chances to get a Smurf in your team, and 5 in the opponent team. But statistically, if you're a bit better than average, you're going to end up winning the game, right? This is another thing about mentality and how to improve. Is first thing would be just watching replays of how you play and what you could have done better. Watching professional players play Dota, and pro replays basically, and tournaments, how they should be playing and stuff like that. And whenever you're watching a replay, think about what happened and what could have happened if you changed A to B. For example, if you're playing bottom, think, oh, what if I went top right now? Or what if I joined this team fight that I didn't join? What if I went Roche right now? That's sort of how you need to improve. So I know that people, when they get into loss streaks and stuff like that, they might get demoralized. So how do we not do that? My opinion, first thing would be is to just think in the long run, right? Now you might have minus 100 MMR today because your teammates are winning, or you're playing against Smurfs or something like that. Well, in the long run, if the enemies have 4 Smurfs, or I mean 1 Smurf per game times 4, right? Or you have 4 ruiners in your team. Enemies will also have ruins, right? And ruiners in the opponent's team. So it's exactly the same idea as before. Mathematically, it doesn't really make sense to lose a lot of games, because if you try your best every single game, that means that you can only have 4 ruiners in your team. Meanwhile, the enemies can have 5 ruiners, or 5 idiots, 5 players that play worse than you, or worse than your teammate. If you're a bit better than average for your MMR bracket, you will eventually go up because uh, you are the only common element in each and every single one of your games. You might have ruiners in your team, you might have ruiners in your enemy team. Same with Smurfs. You might have Smurfs in your team, Smurfs in the enemy team. But the only common element in every single game that you play is that you play the game. So you're simply the common factor in every single game that you're playing. So because of that, you should be only focusing on yourself. You don't really care about this is why my name is right now, I mean, not human bot. It's to have two senses of I mean, it has two meanings. First one is like, I shouldn't really be playing emotionally. If my teammates are ruining or whatever, I shouldn't care about the game, right? Like, not a human, obviously. And other thing is like bot, exactly the same stuff. If my teammates are doing, I shouldn't be expecting anything from my teammates. And I should be like expecting almost everything for the opponents. Opponents are playing perfectly, my teammates don't do anything. This is how I think about the game, basically. Because if my teammates fail, I shouldn't get mad. Because I already didn't expect them to do anything anyway. So I can't really get mad at them, right? But if the opponents play well, I already expect them to play perfectly. So I should be playing against, like, I would play in a Scream or something like that, right? Against professional players, not just pub players. So yeah, that's one thing about mentality that I implement in my game. Teammates don't do anything, opponents do everything correctly. But also don't let this get into your head and like get mad at your teammates. That's basically the point, right? If you don't expect anything from your teammates, they can't let you down. That's why I have chat mute, as you can see. I don't really want to hear anything from my teammates. I don't really. If I do a call, I just ping once or whatever. That's the extent of my communication almost, or maybe rush or push this, something like that. Because most likely they won't respond to it. I mean, most likely they won't do what I say, right? And if they do, that's great. If they don't, I really don't care what they do, right? I'm just trying to play perfectly my game, and then try to win the game that way. So, what I was saying before, it's that, so if my teammates are all muted, they can't really interact with me, right? If, in my opinion, I'm the best player in the game, in this game that I'm playing right now, right? So I don't let myself get influenced by opinions that are really great, right? If one of my teammates would say something wrong, I know that it would be wrong, right? For example, they would say, "Oh, go invade the jungle, go do this." If it's wrong, I really don't want to see the wrong opinion, right? I don't want to sort of lose my faith in my teammates, right? Because they would play a lot worse than I expect. So that's why I try to not expect anything. But another thing about it is that they might just fight with each other, right? If the game's not going great or something like that, you might lose 3 lanes or something like that. They might start fighting each other, pinging and stuff like that. I don't want to see that. I really don't want to get influenced negatively by any of my teammates. So that's why I kind of play with all chat mute, and also spamming the chat wheel on their hero, ha ha ha, or whatever, something like that. It's just unnecessary. Obviously, we should be learning that from the TI, you know, OG, just spamming stuff, tilting a lot of players. Yeah, that's another thing that the opponents can just, whenever they deny a creep, they start laughing or whatever, you know. I don't care about any of that stuff. I only care about myself. How can I get better, what I did wrong, and stuff like that. Another thing that we should be wary about is tilting. As I mentioned before, I kind of know what my tilting factors are, right? If my teammates like start fighting together, if I were to see that, but since I have chat mute, I don't really see that, so I can't really get tilted by that. Another thing that's tilting me is when my teammates are intentionally ruining, right? Because I kind of don't want to play to win anymore. I'll just sort of try to figure something out, try something new or something like that. If they're like running down mid or whatever, you know, stuff like that. Because the game is most likely over. Like, it's almost impossible to win at that point. But I still give my best, right? But however, it won't just be to win the game, because it's an abnormal game from that point onward. So we should be trying to figure out what's tilting you. How to prevent that, basically. If you're getting tilted by pings, just mute the person. If you're getting tilted by your teammates picking some hero or doing some sort of playstyle, you can ask your teammates, yo, please don't pick anti-mage or something like that. Or you can even ban the specific hero for your team not to pick. If you don't want to play with an AM, you can just ban AM. Start of the game, right? Instead of, you know, having AM in your team and getting tilted by his playstyle or something like that. So try to prevent any means possible what's tilting you. After every loss or every game that's really tilting, or you feel exhausted after it, you should probably try to take a break. Either, you know, do something that you really like, or just stand up a bit, walk around, maybe get some fresh air, drink a glass of water or something like that. Try to disconnect yourself from the previous game that you maybe lost or maybe got tilted from. Try to reset your PMA, you know, mentality sort of. Just everything is going to be positive around you when you're giving your best, so you don't really get influenced by negative stuff that's happening in the game. One thing, for example, for me is that I just go play with my pets. I have some cats, I'll just play with the cats, something like that, right? Because it'll just bring your morals up, and you won't let yourself get influenced by negative stuff that's happening in the game, losing a lane or something like that. So you will still be able to think positively and correctly about the game. Instead of, oh, my mid laner is losing the lane, you most likely will be able to think, oh, my mid laner is losing the lane, how can I influence him? Can I go pick up bounty rune for him? Can I go gank for him? Can I secure a rune for him? What do I need to do? Can I stack the jungle for him? Have positive ideas about the game instead of negative, which might get triggered by previous games, right? We need to try to eradicate what happened in the past and just focus on the game before. Teammates most likely are not the same, right? Since your teammates are different, the game is going to go different, you know. Another thing that's really important is looking at the game from a performance aspect instead of outcome. It doesn't matter if you lose or win. All that matters is, did I play better than usual or did I play worse than usual? Because if you play better than usual and lose the game, it's still a good point, right? You still played better. This game might have lost, but in the terms of 100 games, if you play better, instead of having 50% win rate, let's say, you might have 52% win rate or something like that. All it is about is performance. Outcome really doesn't matter. So it's sort of important to train yourself to think like that. That the game, winning 30 MMR or losing 30 MMR doesn't matter. All that matters is in long term. Did I get better at team fighting today? Did I get better at split pushing today? Did I get better at whatever your goal should be for the day? That's another thing that should be pretty important. Have a goal to play today. It's not, oh, I will win MMR. No, I will improve at wording. I'll improve at team fighting. I'll improve at split pushing. I'll improve at what part of the game that you might want to improve at. That should be the goal instead of just winning MMR. That doesn't really imply anything. It doesn't really matter if you're 2k MMR, 5k MMR, 10k MMR. It just matters how good you are. MMR also sort of reflects the mental state, to be honest. Because if you're tilting, you're obviously losing. If you're super calm, you're most likely to win. An important thing, it's also physical exercise, to be honest. To train your mind and also breathing is actually really important. I know it's sort of a meme, but I mean, I don't know if it's sort of a meme, but it might sound weird. But you also have to train your body, not just your mind for the game. Because if you train your body, you will feel better. If you eat well enough, obviously it will reflect on your play. Because you will also feel better about yourself. So if you lose, let's say 5 win streak, I mean, if you lose 5 games in a row, but you're also feeling bad because you don't exercise or don't eat healthy enough or don't whatever, something enough, right, in real life, you will feel worse than if you're eating healthy, if you're doing great in real life, right? If you're improving your life, your real life, it will also reflect on your gameplay. It might sound weird, but it's actually the true thing about anything.